thank you all very much for coming and joining me today. This is going to be a very brief meeting, and I'm going to actually separate this into two portions and give you guys the option on when you're leaving us and what have you. I certainly don't want to go into stuff that is not going to be of why you're here. Now, this is the ongoing series of webinars that we do, and they're intended just to go over when we have a new ICE release or a sorry, somebody was talking to me. When we have a new ICE release and a new FM release, that we bring you guys up to speed on what has changed in there. Now, so the first part of it is I'm going to go over the latest release, and the second part of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you into a little bit of positioning that we've been working on here to sort of put in a process around which you can position print management in general, and also how to facilities manager works into that process and how it can be used as more of uh, a sales tool and prospecting tool rather than just as a tool that helps you guys keep the promises that you're making to your customers. Okay, so let's. The first part of it is going to be, as I say, on the new release of ICE and FM. One housekeeping note, I'm happy to answer questions as we're going here, but if you could just mute yourselves, that way we don't get too much noise. So the latest release of ICE is 1.14.0R, which came out on March the 25th, and the latest ICE FM release was 2.240R back on March the 19th. So we're going to focus firstly on the changes that were made in the ICE, and then we'll go into the FM. So these are all the changes that were made. A few of them. The first one here that we're going to focus on is going to be this first one up here, the general, under general, increasing the length limit on the proxy login and password to 255 characters. Formerly, the proxy was set. If I could just ask everybody to mute. Previously, the login and password was limited to around about 25 characters. So what we did is we have increased that up to 255 characters. This was based on the asking us for this and essentially giving the feedback that it wasn't enough. So that has been changed. The next one there, which is the backlog scans getting uploaded in a date-time order. So when formerly, when a connection to the FM portal was lost between the ICE and the FM portal, what would happen is that all of the scans that were being done in that time frame where the connection was lost, they were in the local on that local machine or server, and then when the connection was reestablished, it was filtering that information back up into the portal, but it was doing it based on the file order rather than the date and time order. So what that was doing is it was giving us or lots of our dealers problems when it came to alerting, because if one alert was coming in at the 10th of the month, and then the next alert was coming in at the 9th of the month, it was causing a lot of confusion on there. So we've now established a new way of uploading that sorts it based on the time and date. We've added new support for the OfficeJet line of printers with HP, and of a lot of high importance to a lot of our dealers is this next one here, which is the added support for the 3-tier color counters for applicable devices in Kyocera. Now, I'm going to quickly go into and just show you what that, excuse me, looks like in here. So if I just need a pointer, hold on. So if I go into our live demo site here, we have one of the Kyoceras at the bottom here. This is the Task Alpha. So I'm just going to go into that and into the device details on that machine. What you'll see is that down at the bottom here, we've got that level 1, 2, and 3 billing. Those are the color counters that we have added. So if there are any dealers on here who wanted to see that, I would suggest that you're now testing this in your own environments and seeing how that new counters, those counters are being represented in the device details.
Is there anybody else who actually can't see what you're doing? I'm only seeing the front "We like to wow our customers" screen. I'm not actually seeing what you're doing right now.
You have to log into a different. You have to log into a different login. The James Hills.
Yeah. So okay. There's. I do apologize. There seemed to be some confusion on the which link you need to be using for this presentation. So the login for this is, sorry, hang on, is http://join.me/James Hills, all lower word, with an S on the end of Hills.
Okay, thank you. I'll try
that. Okay, so we're getting so many people still joining us. Hold on one moment. I just got to go back to where we were. There we go. Okay. We've improved on the support for the some sharp issues that we were having, as you can see here, 3 in a row, where there were some issues with so there's a lot of improvements being done there, and the same with the RICO. So there's a couple of models where we were having some difficulty. The one that I wanted to focus on briefly here is the MEMJet. So we're noticing that and getting a lot of requests from various dealers that are they're starting to have adopted the MEMJet line of devices, and so we have now undertaken to work with MEMJet so that they're sharing all of their private MIB data with us, so that we're able to now fully support all of the MEMJet devices. So that was one of the big things that we had included in this release. There was another couple of issues that we addressed on the Samsung side of things, and also Brother. So that's the changes that we've done to ICE. From the changes that we've done to the FM portal, I know we've got some international people online here. We've for the Real currency from Qatar and the Swiss franc. We've also, and I'll go back to the LMI data feed in a moment, but we've added support for French and also Portuguese in Facilities Manager now. So a lot of people have been waiting a long time for that worldwide. We've also done a couple of fixes for minor details in the administration, fixing an issue with the state and province country fields being reversed, and also fixed an issue with new device messaging in the dashboard. So now they can get that in Spanish. I'll go back now to the new data export for the LMI data. This one is, again, I know a lot of you are using LMI and need that information that we're capturing in the software, in the facilities manager, to be fed into LMI, into their total cost of ownership calculators and proposal generation tools. We are now fully supporting that. I do need to stress, though, that it isn't bi-directional communication. It is an export, and that is an XML feed. So those are the changes that we have made to the FM system over the last month or so here. What I can tell you is that as we are going forward here, there's continual work being done on this, as is evidenced by what you're seeing here. And we are going to, next time we hold one of these, it's going to be a very major release that we will be announcing. We are actually reworking the entire alerting system in there, so there will be some significant changes upcoming that you will need to be very aware of, because it's going to change, how you're using the tool. So there'll be you'll need to become familiar with that. I have seen a preview of it where it is really quite exceptional. It's going to address all of the issues that we've had coming back into us from an alerting perspective. So something to look forward to there. So once again, I would encourage everybody to sign up for our customer portal, our customer support portal. The people that are signed up onto this, you can well testify to the ease of use and value that this brings. So it really allows you to gain access to a lot of information should you need it, and also to get your opinions and requests expressed in a quick and accurate way, so that it makes it into our system, so that it's your feedback to us that drives our development. So more participation you can give us on what you want to see out of our tools, the more responsive we will be in being able to address those things. So please do sign up at printaudit.com to the customer support portal. It will be well worth your while. Okay, so what I'm going to do, that sort of concludes the release notes that we have made for the new ICE and FM releases. I will take some questions now. I'm not the most technical person in the world, but it's relatively rare these days I get stumped. But if you stump me, I will take down the question and we will get that answered for you. Are there any questions that anybody has?
So are these updates are the one already in release 1.4, 1.4?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, and then you're saying that the portal is also going to change, so the actual website where we log into is going to be different.
The alerting fee that down the road, yes, the alerting side of things will change substantially. So that would be once I don't have a release date on that yet, but the next time we do one of these programs, or sorry, webinars to explain what's been changed in there, it will be a significant one. So you might want to make sure that you block off a longer time frame, because it will be a major release. So we'll need a little bit more time to explain how those things, what's changed and how to use it.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Super. Well, thank you very much for those of you who were just logging in to see the what's changed in FM. I appreciate your time, and I'm happy to say that this only took 15 minutes. I know everybody's very busy. So if you have an interest, I would love for you to stay on, and just I'm going to take another 10 minutes. Somebody just asked me to go over the first 10 minutes. Perhaps instead of using that time to do that, so I apologize for those of you who may have missed it. What I'll do is I'll give you my phone number. I'm going to then you can give me a call and I'll happily take you through this one at a time. If any questions you have or anything that you have missed. So my number is 877 412
I'm sorry,
8348.
you're breaking up, James. You say 412?
Yes, 877
You're breaking.
8. People are signing off. That's the problem. So 877 412 8348. Did
Thank
you catch it?
you. 412-8348.
That's correct. I'm just going to let people drop off for a moment so that we're not being interrupted by all those.
Is there any way we could get a copy of this presentation today, or?
Certainly. If you send me, my email address is jhills, HILLS, at printaudit.com.
Great, I'll send
If
you
you
an
send
email.
me an email, I will share information with you.
Thank you.
Okay, that should take care of it. And I'm only 10 minutes to go over the thin end of the wedge, as we call it, on the facilities manager and how it can be used as more of a prospecting tool rather than just a tool to help you keep the promises that you're making to your customers. Because typically you're making promises like, I won't bug you for meter reads, I will know before you do. Sorry, what was
Right.
there?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'll know before you do when there's a problem on the machine, so I can be proactive in the service, and I'll give you just-in-time inventory. Those are typically the ways that this program is being done or used. However, there are, I feel, some unexploited aspects to this product that you need to be aware of. So in any print management engagement, actually the first step of that, I believe, should be to install the facilities manager, but it's exploiting that information that you're capturing in there. Now, when you install the facilities manager, you're installing the ICE, right? And then you're telling the ICE what IP range you want it to scan. It goes out, it scans that IP range and subnets and whatever, and brings back information about all of the devices that it's seeing in there, right? And you then go into the portal and you say, if there were 10 devices, and then you say, okay, these 10 are mine, I care about those. Or sorry, these 5 are mine, I care
Mhm.
about those. So you set those to a tracking level. But these other 5, they're either legacy equipment or competitors' devices. So you don't set those to a tracking level, and thus you don't pay print audit for tracking them. However, from that point on, you're not seeing any information about those local devices, about those other devices, those competitors' devices, but the ICE engine is still seeing them. And there's a report in Facilities Manager that that gives you a peek under the covers at what else is going on in there. And it's called the competitive analysis report. Um, and I'll show you where it is. So it's under reporting, yeah, and then
Okay.
data exports. It's the second one down. The second one down, it's competitive analysis, and what it'll do is it'll take you through a wizard, and you just go ahead and build it, and then it'll give you an idea on what's going on in your environment, in your customer's environment. Now, this is a sample one, as you can see here, and they've got maybe 10 or 12 customers where they're tracking. The way to read this is the first thing I do is I look at, okay, the managed and unmanaged devices. What percentage of those devices are being managed by you? Right? So if we focus on this second one down here, we can see that they're managing 56% of the devices. Now, that's all well and good. It's great. Look at how much of the volume they're getting to those devices. So they got 56% of the devices, but they're only getting 34% of the volume. So that means that a competitor is in there eating their lunch, right? They're upside down. They're not getting their fair share of the volumes, right? So what are we doing? What is that volume? What is that volume? If it's only getting 34%, what's going to those competitive devices? So this is where I focus on this column here, the total unmanaged pages. And you can see in this one here, there's 196,000 pages last month that went to the competitor's device. So that's how much that customer, that this dealer is missing out on that one customer. So that's the first thing I focus on is where are you upside down, right? So you go through here, you compare this column to this column and see if you're upside down, because those are the red flags, right? That's where you should be focusing your attention
Right.
from a sales perspective. Second thing that I focus on is this column here again, right? And I would say that anywhere there is a large number in this unmanaged pages column, right, that represents opportunity, because it's all very well getting your fair share. That's not why we're in business, right? We want more than our fair share. So this is where we focus our attention on these things and we say, okay, well, what strategy could we employ to then target that volume and try and get some of that volume away from our competitor's device? Now, if I just go into my facilities manager portal here, let me just get a pointer here so that I can build this very quickly. So I'm just going to go into reporting and then data exports, okay? And there's the report that we're talking about, the competitive. I'm just going to do it on all of follow the wizard and go through this. And it'll build very quickly here. So while that's building, so what this report will do is it will break down into managed and unmanaged devices and give you a bands of volume that they're doing. So if we look at this first one here, these are all the devices that are doing between 0 and 1500 pages. And there's a lot of them because I don't have any live data. This is all just demo data, so I don't have particularly great things to show you. But what it'll do is it'll show you the bands of volume that they're doing, and it'll break it down to like 0 to 1500 pages, 1500 to 3000 pages, 3 to 5000, 5 to 10, and then 10,000 plus pages a month. That list is an important one because you can see what kind of devices the competitors have in there, right?
Right.
So what you could do is you could then say, okay, well, I'm going to target, let's just say we're going to target, let me just get my pointer back. Let's say we're going to target this Konica Minolta BizHub Pro 920, okay? We say, okay, I got a good story to tell against that one. I can it's doing a good amount of volume. I know I've got a better price per page, whatever it is, right? What you can do is you can go into the solution and onto the facilities manager. What I'd suggest is you're going in there and you're saying, okay, I'm going to set that device that I'm targeting to a tracking level. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an alert on it saying anytime that machine experiences problems, I want to get an alert. I want my salesperson or whoever it is, I want them to know about it, because there's no better time than to call that customer and say, hey, Joe, how's that BizHub Pro 920 working out for you? Knowing full well that it's down at the moment, all right? Striking while the iron's hot, because the guy's going to be saying, well, God, it's funny you should ask, because the damn thing's causing me nothing but problems, right? Oh, is that so? Well, I can help you. You get the idea.
Right.
So that's how I believe that this tool can and should be used. Now I'm just going to go back into the presentation there and just expand on that idea, because so that's step one, right? Step two is that is to start tracking the non-network devices as well, those locally connected devices, because that volume that we were just looking at there's still another pool of unmanaged volume that's going on in those customers' environments, right? And that's those locally connected volume, right? And it isn't being tracked. But the print audit solution, we can track those locally connected devices. So to track all the networked ones, you're using the ICE, right, and the facilities manager.
Right.
We have our other program called Print Audit 6, which is a client-based application. And what that does, so you install a small client to each of the workstations in the environment. And once that client is installed in there, it will track 100% of what's taking place from that workstation, including all the locally connected devices. We can then control the functionality of that Print Audit 6 program that you've pushed out to each workstation, right? Because there is a lot of functionality in there, but we can control it and limit it through the use of licenses. So by issuing you a license called the Facilities Manager Only, what that does is it enables the linking of the ICE with the Print Audit 6 client, so that we can feed information about those locally connected devices up into Facilities Manager and filter out all of the stuff that you don't need to be tracking in there. Once you have that in place, you have a much better idea on what kind of volumes you're not participating in, and you're going to have an idea based on on what's going on the lowest hanging fruit, which is going to be those convenience printers, right? Those are the ones that are typically going to be what you're targeting for replacement, or at least perhaps movement of that volume away from those to your lower cost devices, because it's, well, it's you're going to be able to save the customer money by doing that, right?
Right.
So we got the network, the non-network devices now filtering information up into Facilities Manager portal. Next step is then to say to the customer, hey, look, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing all of this volume going to here and there, but what we really need to do is we really need to understand how the users are using your environment. It's all very well understanding what device is doing what volume, but until you add the user into the equation, you're not truly understanding what's going on in the environment. And that's where we can turn on, again, you've got the Print Audit 6 software in. Simply turning on the analysis module, again, just through a license change, you gain access to all of a sudden an awful lot of information about what's going on in there. So I mean, there are literally 35 pieces of information then become available to you about every single job that they do. So the who, what, where, when, how many pages, how many copies, was it black and white or color, was it duplex, what was the document name, the application it came from, on and on. Once you have that information, there are tools in there to help you then start to pull intelligence out of that data, so that you can understand and really come to the customer with a proposal that is going to make sense, because it's based on their own information. So you would run that analysis module ideally in stealth mode, right? So nobody knows that it's in there. You track it, you let it run for a month, so you have a snapshot, excuse me, not a snapshot, a benchmark from which to measure the effectiveness of any strategy that you employ with them. Now, I'm just going to go into this again here and just show you briefly some of the reports that are available. There's two reporting tools in there. So there's an ad hoc reporting tool that will allow you to generate any report that you can conceive, as long as you're using those 35 pieces of information as the guideline. But there's also the analysis reporting tool in here, which gives you some graphical representations of the data. So you can see here top 10 users by cost and volume, top printers by black and white volume and color, users by the same, top models by volume, what days of the week is seeing the most traffic, and indeed what time of the day. If there's a big spike at 1 o'clock in the morning, you might want to check what the cleaning lady's printing. Breaks down the jobs to black and white, and I'm going to come back to this one briefly here. And this is really the one pager that you would put in front of the customer, saying, okay, look, we've run this analysis going on in this environment for the last 30 days. Here's what we're seeing. right? It's a one pager that you put in there. You can show them, you know, uh, how many users, what their total volumes are. You can see in there how many devices they've got and how they're connected. Yeah. You can put your the costing information in there so that you can show them how much this environment is costing them to run. And then of course you can project that out over time, and you can look the guy right in the eye and say, hey, look, these are your numbers, right? This environment's going to cost you, in this case, $162,000 to run over the next 3 years. Here's our proposal and how we're going to bring that down to whatever. And so your value proposition is only ever um, improved and strengthened by having the customer's data to show what's going on, right? So as we turn on that analysis and give you that capabilities, your value proposition is, that's where you're adding your value proposition, right? Because you've worked
Yeah.
long and hard to establish what that is. We give you the tools to exploit that more. Now, the last step in this is once you've got that, is to turn on rules-based printing and start to redirect the volume. That could be one of the strategies that you are going to employ in addition to your existing value proposition. And of course, by turning on rules, what you're doing is you're being able to redirect volumes based on criteria you wish. Now, I'm just going to go back into that I'm just going to show you this report here. So in this report here, you can see that there were 5,700 jobs printed, right?
Mhm.
85% of them were between 1 and 3 pages. So the vast majority of the devices, of the jobs were between 1 and 3 pages. But when we take a look at the total volume, 21,000 pages, those 1 to 3 page jobs only accounted for 30% of the volume. So a very high percentage of the jobs, relatively low percentage of the volume. However, if we focused our attention on jobs that were perhaps 25 pages or more, it's about 40% of the volume were being done by those, the red and yellow there, by being done by those big jobs. But we can see that they account for only less than 2% of the total jobs. So what we can do is we can drill down and find out, well, where were those large jobs printed? And if they were printed on devices that were high cost or convenience printers, they then that then becomes a way to start to target that volume and say, well, instead of fighting the political battle of taking a piece of equipment away because it's convenient or whatever, right? People tend to, be quite resistant to losing their convenience printers. Instead of fighting that political battle, just say to them instead, look, keep it, because the vast majority of your printing is being done in 1 to 3 pages. That's a good, if you're doing 1 to 3 page jobs, well, that's a good use of that locally connected device, right? But if you're printing a job that's larger than 25 pages, or whatever, however many pages, whatever you decide, we want that device, that job, to go down the hall. So you can redirect based on any of the 35 pieces of information that we're capturing. But so you can be extremely detailed in how you set up rules, or you can be quite general. I would suggest to you, and our experience tells us, that by putting in just 1 or 2, perhaps 3 rules, you are going to get the lion's share of the cost savings for the customer without inconveniencing them in the least, because they are only going to see a pop-up twice in this case, out of every 100 jobs that they print. So it's a very low impact. So when they hit print, a little pop-up comes up to them and say, hey, you've broken this rule. You need to, any job that's larger than 25 pages needs to be sent down the hall. They have to then reprint it down the hall. So I don't want to go into much more detail than that. However, the offer is there if you do want to go into more detail on this thin end of the wedge process that is designed to augment your existing value proposition. I'm happy to look into your exact data and have a look at the competitive analysis report and work with you and show you what I see is the potential to address, you know, well, what is probably the lowest hanging fruit that you have in your company, which is your existing customer base. And then we can talk about how that would work with new customers and how you can use it in that regard, and to win RFPs, of course. That is as far as I say. As I say, I wanted to take this today. If you want to um, uh, go into more detail on this, I am going to send out a recording. We did record this meeting, so anybody who wants to have this presentation to go over at a later time, by all means, email us and we'll send this out, or we'll send you a link to it, or contact me directly. I'm at 877-412-8348, or my email is jhills, JHILLS, at printaudit.com. I'm just going to go back in here and just give you one last update. Some of you may be aware of our Premier program. It's a way for you guys to get hold of all of our products at an extremely high profit margin rate. In other words, your costs are extremely low and in fact set forever. And we have now hit 149 members. I wish it was 150 to be able to say this on this meeting, but we had our 149th on Friday. So this program is being extremely well received and extremely profitable for each and every one of those 149 members. So if you want more information on that, you can contact me and I will certainly bring you up to speed on what that program is about. I'd like to thank you all for your time today. If there are any questions, please just contact us and I will contact you at my earliest chance. Everything.
Well, thank you, James.
All right, take care.
Take care.